Well, Christmas is the Christian festival, as you know, celebrating the birth of Jesus. The English term Christmas derives from Mass on Christ's Day. According to the Christian religion, Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and the word Christmas is the joining of Christ and Mass, which means the Holy Mass, supper, celebration, and the festival of Christ. Christians celebrate Christmas each year to show their gratitude to God for what he did and to remember the birth of Jesus Christ by giving gifts and worshipping him and hopefully thinking of the poor and the less fortunate. One person I believe who better articulates the significance of these Christian festivals is the Catholic Archbishop of Sydney, Anthony Fisher, and His Grace joins me. Your Grace, thank you for your time again. I note your Christmas message. You talk about the moving scenes of people at airports reunited after months of separation because of COVID lockdowns and border closures. These have been testing times, haven't they?
They really have been, Alan, for many people. You think of especially the people who missed the funeral of their own mum or dad because they weren't allowed to go interstate, or because of work and then having a border closure, they've ended up months apart from their own children or their spouse. It's been very hard for those people that have been hundreds, thousands of kilometres away from each other. But even those of us here in the city, we couldn't visit the friends and the family members in the way we're used to. We were separated from our work colleagues or our friends at school or university, wherever we were. And I think for a lot of people, that came at a huge personal,
definitely
emotional, spiritual cost. It wasn't a simple matter just saying, oh, well, this is a good health measure, we'll all just grin and bear it.
I mean, do you agree? I mean, this often made people question their mental and emotional strength and indeed their faith.
Yes, exactly. I think our politicians thought of this in terms of public health, people's physical health, and sometimes our economic health. But you've also got to think of people's psychological and spiritual health. Yes. And the fact is, for a lot of people, being separated from those they love, being separated from their church community and their opportunities to worship, or from the arts and music and other things like that raise their spirits, from sport and other things. They mightn't be about their physical or economic health, but they're hugely important for the whole human being.
Yes.
And so I think a lot of us are very pleased that this Christmas we can get back together a bit more.
Just before we go on to this Christmas, what message, overwhelming message, if there's one or two, have you gained from your congregations?
Well, I think that sense that people don't like being apart is a crucial learning for us from all this, that human beings need to be up close with each other. We're social animals, as the old Aristotelian definition of a human being. We're not just individual units atoms that bounce off each other and go our own way. We need each other from the time we're born onwards. And we really miss the company of those we love.
See, Christmas is about coming together and families and sharing. I note in your message you say that phone calls, I think it's a very good point, phone calls and emails and Facebooking and Zooming, I suppose are better than nothing, but they're not the same. Do we need to recapture the personal element in our lives rather than the impersonal?
Absolutely, Alan. I think we need to realise that friendship requires proximity. We need to be near each other. We talk of someone being our nearest and dearest, or being close to someone, our closest friend. These are words that reflect the fact that we need physical, spatial connection with each other, not just a theoretical one, not just one through a telephone or through the ether. As you say, that's better than nothing. And thank heavens we've had those means of keeping in contact during the COVID times. But what we all yearned for was actually to be able to sit beside someone, to eat across the table.
Not drawing away from one another. I mean, in the world of social media, often intimacy and friendship and the nearest and dearest, your words, are very elusive. I mean, you make the point that the Christmas story is about this in-person connection, up close and personal. Just to amplify that for our viewers.
Okay, so there have been a lot of religions throughout history have talked about the gods, and the gods lived on some other plane, and they might interfere from time to time in human affairs, but basically they weren't much interested in us. The Christian conception of God is a God that wanted to come so close to us that he actually became one of us, so that he could be held as a little baby, so that he could be loved by human parents and have friendships and eat with people and walk with people and teach people, have conversations with people, heal them when they were sick, be close to people, because that was God's way of telling us how much we matter to him, that he wants our friendship. And there's no better way of understanding that than understanding that he actually became one of us. And you could have remained perfectly happy in his celestial sphere and just left us to ourselves, but that's not the kind of God that Christians know.
No, you say in the Christian message that when the Christ child was born in a stable, God was saying to every pauper, I'm here for you. How much do these people, disadvantaged people in the community today, need to know someone is here for them?
I think very often it's people who are fairly desperate who actually cry out to God, and they know they can't just rely on their own strength. They know they need something more. And so often the poor are actually very devout, and they look to Christmas as a time for hope. And they hope that the community is going to care a bit more about them around Christmas too, as well as God. So I think it does speak to the poor. It speaks to families because it's a time of family. It speaks to refugees because we know that straight after the first Christmas, the Holy Family had to flee from Herod. It speaks to a lot of different needs in human beings.
Yes, I mean, that point about Herod, I mean, where the family had to flee according to the Bible because Herod initiated a murder of all the infants in Bethlehem in an attempt to get rid of baby Jesus. And you're saying God was telling every refugee, because we have these refugees today, every refugee, I am here for you. I can't help but feel in that message that you've delivered this Christmas that there are so many people following coronavirus and the dislocation of families that wonder who is here for me.
Yep. And I think it's very important for us to know that we are loved. We are deeply loved from all eternity by God. A God so smitten with us that he wanted to become one of us and really prove it and become as vulnerable as a newborn baby and hand himself over to us as that baby to care for or to murder, as Herod tried to do. He that much wanted our friendship that he was willing to even put himself in danger. And we know that ultimately human beings did kill him when he was an adult.
Your Grace, at this time, right now, hearing you and people listening to you would be saying, where does this message fit, for example, with the horrible tragedy at Devonport last week? What do you say to people who want to believe but feel that we don't quite understand how these things can happen in the scheme of things?
Look, I very well understand that for many people in a tragedy like that, they think, where's God? Why wasn't he there to save my little child when that terrible accident happened? Other people in that same situation turn to God because they're desperate in their grief for some hope that one day I'll see my child again, that my child is not just annihilated and gone into non-existence, but is now happy with God and I will one day be reunited with him. So for some people, it's a terrible threat to their faith, and for others, faith's a great consolation in tragedy. I understand both of those things. I think both of us feel both those tugs when a tragedy happens to us or when we see one for other people. And I'd be saying to those families, don't give up on the thought that you will one day see your beloved child again. It's not all ended. Christmas says God loves children so much as to become a child, and you will be reunited with your loved one that you've lost.
The other thing that seems to dominate the world today, doesn't it? Do you feel as a society we've become more materialistic? Things are about assets and property and wealth, and that friendship and real humanity have suffered. I mean, even today, someone with billions of dollars is listened to by government, but Indigenous Australians suffering in the Northern Territory just ignored. Money talks. It's a sad reflection of the modern world, isn't it?
Indeed. We're talking before about the poor child, Jesus being there for the poor. Well, you think, who did he invite? Who was invited by God, by the angels, to come at that first Christmas, come straight to see the newborn Jesus? It was farmhands, shepherds. They were the nobodies of that world. They couldn't even testify in court because they were regarded as so ignorant and unreliable. But those are exactly the ones that God said, you come first to see the infant King, the Messiah. Yes. And I think that says to all of us, in the end, people matter so much more than things.
Yes.
That our friendships, our relationships, come the end of our lives when we're counting up what matters. It's not going to be how many properties I own. It's going to be who loves me, who cares that I'm dying.
Absolutely.
And who do I hope to see one day again?
See, you say in that Christmas message that Christmas, the story is about the personal and the real and the physical. As a result of all this isolation over 2 years, I get the feeling many of these instincts are almost foreign to some of us now. We've got to learn them again.
Well, I think it's been a strange thing that we sometimes heard from officials telling us we should redefine family and cut out uncles and aunts and cousins.
Yes.
That we should show our affection for people by not touching them or not even going up to talk to them in the supermarket. I think some of that was overkill, and it's very hard for human beings to live like that. We do need to be close to each other physically, to be person to person. And the moment we can safely do that, we should get back to that.
Absolutely.
So if we need to relearn that, well, let's make sure we teach it to our children and we regain it for ourselves.
Because as you say in that message, which I thought was beautifully expressed, Christmas, our chance to renew our love, to gather, to reacquaint, to make amends, to exchange hugs and gifts that say friendship. Given that we increasingly fail to understand that Christianity gave birth to Western civilization and all the benefits it offers us, you then say, may the Christian babe find a home, I love this, in the manger of our hearts. I
do think that this has given so much to our civilization, this God who loves us so much as to become a baby and live and die for us and alongside us and to give us hope for life beyond. Some people have lost sight of that, and they've lost sight of how much of our values, of our laws, of our customs are part of the Christian inheritance. That's a pity they've missed that. But to everyone, wherever they're from, whatever their beliefs, I want them to know at this time, God loves you. He loves you from all eternity. Make a space for him.
Good on you.
Make your heart a manger where the little child Jesus can be placed.
Lovely. I don't think too many people could argue against the fact that the invasion of the Christian spirit into our hearts is more needed today than ever. Happy Christmas to you, Your Grace, and I hope the new year brings you good health and joy and lots of happiness.
Thank you. The same to you, Alan, and God bless all the viewers.
Thank you so much. There he is, Archbishop Anthony Fisher, the Catholic Archbishop of Sydney.